What's up everyone? So we're back with another video, but this time it's a double movie review video from yours truly. And I believe I only did this once last year for A Christmas Story. And I said I would not do these type of videos often, but I feel like going forward I kind of have to. Because with the amount of, with the amount of shit I want to cover, it's just going to take some time. So I think it's best to maybe start doing those tier lists so I can talk about as many movies as possible. But right now, since Halloween just passed yesterday, oh yes, we still talking about Halloween. I can't let it go away that fast. I gotta talk about at least one scary movie, although this ain't scary. But y'all know me, if you've been following the channel, I'll mess with the scary horror thriller stuff, right? But this movie, we're gonna talk about which one is better. The original The Haunted Mansion from 2003, or 20 years later, this new remake of Haunted Mansion. That's what they're calling it. They dropped the, and here we are in 2023, 20 years later, and this is not a sequel. You might think that this is a sequel, but it's actually not. So I'm actually gonna freestyle this whole damn video because if I write my scripts of these videos, I feel like it is better content, but it does take me forever. And I might not be the most articulate person. Like right now, I shouldn't even be talking about this shit. I should be giving a review. So you know what? Let's just get right to it. So with this review, I'm gonna talk about the plot, the characters, some pros and cons for each movie, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on which one is better and which one I enjoyed more. Now, the original one came out 20 years ago. Obviously, I was a kid. I do have this movie on DVD. It's a classic, but does it live up to today's age? And is this new movie even worth the hype, right? Because I think we're getting to a point where, although we love nostalgia, we're getting tired of these remakes or redos or whatever you want to call it. But this sequel is actually interesting because it has nothing to do with the original. So I'll get to that in a minute, because first I want to talk about The Haunted Mansion. Now, the plot, if you remember, it does follow Eddie Murphy, whose character, I believe his name is Jim, and his wife Sarah Evers. I believe that they have a real estate company. I believe it's Evers and Evers Real Estate, and he's always working around the clock. He's very successful. He's either buying or selling houses for his clients 24/7, and it gets to the point where he needs to go on a vacation just to get away from work with him and his wife and his two kids. And they do that, but on their way out, he gets a call to see one last house, and it's a house they can't really pass up on. Even the wife is like, no, we should definitely go check it out because it's in a mansion in the middle of nowhere, but it could be big business. So what they do is they go out there, they bring the two kids, because after this they're going right on vacation, real quick, in and out. But that's not what happens. This review will also be spoiler free. I'm just giving you a brief plot of what happens, and you probably remember if you watched this before. But so they go to the house, but then they get stuck at the house because there's a thunderstorm. They can't get back to their car because the streets is flooded. But little do they know that they were summoned to this place because the owner was kind of like married to his wife from like years and years and years ago, kind of the spirit of his wife, and he thinks it's literally her. And Eddie Murphy's like, well, hold up now, so the whole movie is about this owner trying to get Eddie Murphy's wife to fall in love with him. Eddie Murphy's trying to rescue his wife and kids because they get mixed up. There's good ghosts, there's bad ghosts, and that's pretty much how it goes down. So can Eddie Murphy survive this, save his kids, save his wife, hide your kids? See, he didn't do that, right? He didn't see the jokes. They just come. I'm not even going to write this shit up. I'm not even going to write it out anymore. We're just going to see where this goes. But that's the plot of that. Now, one of the main pros of this first movie is the cast. The cast is definitely amazing in my opinion, because I feel like a lot of these actors I might not be super familiar with, but they're definitely legendary actors that I'm sure you've seen before. Even the two kid actors, I thought they did a great job. And even his wife actor, Marsha Thomason, I feel like I haven't seen her ever since this movie. But this is the type of movie where it's good to go back and watch. But as you're watching it, like, the cast isn't huge, but they all have like great chemistry. It just feels very natural, and the characters and how they work together. That's something that, looking back on these types of movies, where I do appreciate that type of casting, where you have your main character, which is Eddie Murphy, and then you have like the wife, which is the plot line, but then you have these surrounding characters that build up to that. That is something that I really loved about this movie that I think we could all agree. The second part is the second pro, which is obvious, but it's Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy is the type where he could carry a movie just by himself. He kind of does that in this movie because his character is a very charismatic salesman. And since Eddie Murphy is a comedian, I mean, that's kind of like right in his lane of just being a charismatic character, either in a movie or in real life, I'm assuming. So he definitely makes this movie for sure. And I think most of us are, if you're a big fan of Eddie Murphy, I think you do love random movies like this, such as Haunted Mansion, or even Daddy Daycare. It's such a random story like Daddy Daycare, but yet Eddie Murphy makes that movie for sure. What was my other pro? Okay, so one more pro is the runtime. Yo, these movies from like 90s, 2000s, they told such a good story in a matter of an hour and a half. I don't know how they did that, because now it's like every movie has to hit that 2 hour mark. But sometimes I feel like that's what hurts the story when you drag it out. So for this movie, I'm giving it a pro. Now, the only negative for this original movie is probably if you look back on it, or even if you watch it back in the day, you could probably say that it is corny. Some of the jokes, most of the random storylines, but for the most part, I did find it enjoyable. I found it very funny. But now if we talk about this newer movie, the new movie actually surprised me. My parents were in town, so I was like, you guys want to see this? Sure, let's go see it. So I saw it with my parents, and I think we all enjoyed it for the most part. It was, story-wise, it had nothing to do with the first one, which I did appreciate, but it was also very dramatic and had dark tones to it, in regards to like the grieving process or losing someone. So the plot of that movie is you have the main character, I believe his name is Ben, and it's played by Lakeith Stanfield. And he's an actor that I'm trying to keep tabs on because I've seen him in multiple shows and movies, and I'm trying to see if he's a good actor or not, you know, like in these different roles. Because some actors, they appear to be great actors for like a specific character. And for him, he's usually known as playing like the laid back, chill type of dude. And in this movie, he's doing the same thing. He's apparently a very smart guy in this movie. And he was married at one point, but his wife passed away. That's not really a spoiler, because it kind of like, that sets the tone of the movie. So there's like two main characters. You have Lakeith's character, whose name is Ben, he had this great career. He was married, but then he lost his wife. Now he's just a photographer for those like haunted house tours or ghost tours. But the other main character is Rosario Dawson's character. I believe her name is Gabby. Gabby is a single mother, and she's the one that moves into this new haunted mansion with her son, who's also a young kid, very similar to the two kids in the original movie, about the same age. And this kid is like scared of everything, kind of like the son from the original movie. Because I remember the original movie, the daughter was the more headstrong one, or fearless one, I should say. But those two, they're living in this house, and what was so interesting about this movie is that, yeah, they go in the house, it's haunted, they encounter the ghost on their first night there. Obviously, they leave like any normal person would do. But what this movie did is that the ghosts follow them anywhere they go. So that was so interesting about this new spin-off idea of this type of movie, this storyline for the Haunted Mansion. It's like, you could leave the house all you want, go anywhere you want, but the ghost you interact with is going to follow you anywhere you go. So you have to go back to the mansion to confront the ghost and figure out what's going on, or just to stay there. Because I think that's why the ghosts do follow them, because they need help from this other villain ghost. So that's where it gets very, very interesting and also creepy, because each character, whichever random ghost they interact with, follows them home, and each ghost is so different and kind of creepy. The first one did have some scary parts too. Looking back on it, like, obviously they're not the scariest of Halloween movies, but they do have their moments where I feel like we can show our appreciation to like those scenes. Like the first movie, they have to go like in this like tombstone, I forgot what the hell you call it. I don't want to say layer, but
in the mausoleum? The key is in the mausoleum.
Stupid.
Underground tombstone. And they have all these dead skeletons popping up. That was kind of creepy in the first one, if you remember. And that punk ass kid was afraid to open the door because he was scared of spiders. If you don't open that door, ooh.
I get scared sometimes. And I get scared right now.
You are?
Yes, I'm very scared. Now please open the door, son.
Michael, open the door or I'll kill you!
What is it? Keep it calm. Hey, Michael, listen.
That part was funny. So like, what's different about these two movies, like see the kid in the first one, he had to confront his fears of spiders, right? And Eddie Murphy had to confront his idea of family time and all that stuff. And in this movie, there is way more characters. and actors, big time actors, and each character is very different. And I think that's definitely a pro of the second movie, is that each character, like how I mentioned, has their own like strengths and weaknesses, or has their own process or ambitions or goals they're trying to achieve or get through. Such as like Lakeith, like he's grieving the loss of his wife. You have the pastor played by Owen Wilson, who's kind of like a hustle guy. He's a pastor, but yet is he a pastor? Then you have Tiffany Haddish, who's what do you call it? The person who could connect with the dead. God damn it.
Stupid.
This is why I write out my scripts. What do you call it? Oh my God. You know what I'm talking about. The person that could connect with the dead. I'm thinking of that freaking blonde lady from the Long Island show, reality show.
I mean, Jim is like a teddy bear. You just want to hug him all day.
Jim.
I keep wanting to say meme, but we're going to keep it moving.
Stupid.
This is why I don't like drawing. See, I don't like drawing blanks like this. Okay, we're going to keep it moving. Okay, whatever. I think her... What's her name again? I was going to say Madame Tussauds. I don't even think that's her name, but let's keep it moving. Let's just keep it moving. Because like I said in one of my apartment tour, this is a train off the tracks. I'm probably going to get back to write my scripts after this, but let me know if this is a hot-ass mess. So yeah, Tiffany Haddish's character, she's also struggling with her personal belief. Like, is she good enough at what she does? So although I like how each character has their own stuff going on, that's very interesting to watch. But as a cast as a whole, I feel like it was too many characters. It was an overload of characters where, although I mentioned like Gabby and Ben as the two main, it's like you also have these other characters. And when it comes to the screen time and the storytelling, it's just too much stuff going on for all these characters. I feel like they could have dropped one, such as Danny DeVito's character. I believe he's the historian. And yeah, he contributes to the story. But when you look back on it, screenwriting-wise, they could have probably did not need that type of character. But obviously, I think the more big name actors you have in a movie, especially a Disney movie, it's going to draw crowds in, right? Each character had their moments of funniness, but I did think it was kind of forced most of the time. And you have the screenwriting, but then like I always said, you have the actors' performances. Now, all these, even though these are all big name actors, I feel like their performances were, I don't want to say dry, but it felt flatline almost. Whereas the original movie, those actors went in. No matter how many lines they had, I feel like they did give it their all. Whereas this movie, there was moments of it, like Lakeith, for example, like there was moments where he did get very emotional, and I feel like I never seen that before, or I was not even expecting him to cry in this movie, for example, right? So when you see moments like that, it's like, wow, I see what they did try to do there to make it more impactful. But does that make up for like the drag of the performances or the storytelling for the past hour? That's where when you're watching something like a movie or a TV show, right? You can have a bunch of good episodes and then one great episode, but does that make up for like the rest of the season that was kind of freaking boring? So that's why it's interesting to see like everything play out from start to finish. So that's the second movie, how that goes down pretty much. You have Gabby, like I said, who's in the mansion, but then she needs help from the photographer. She needs help from the pastor, the historian. I don't want to call her a voodoo lady, but you know what I mean. The Tiffany Haddish character. So like all of them together to solve this issue of why there's ghosts, what's going on, why can't they leave? It is very interesting. It's very fun. However, I don't know. It's good in its own way. It's good in its excuse me. It's good in its own way. Yeah. So as I mentioned, with the I feel like that is a major con. How there's kind of too many characters going on. And let me know in the comments if you could relate to that, if you kind of felt the same way I feel about all the characters. And another thing was the runtime. I'm gonna give that a con for the second movie, because 2 hours? Come on, like, how is it that the original movie felt more impactful with an hour and a half, yet this movie, it took 2 hours to tell the story, you know? And obviously there's more characters, there's more shit going on, but I don't know. It could be one of those movies where maybe it would have been better off as like a series on Disney Plus. This way, like with all these great characters, you can see how they all play out a little bit more. Because I just felt like it wasn't enough, not enough screen time, just not story depth for each character. So let's see. I gave you some pros, some cons. So overall, yeah. Excuse me. We're doing this in one take. Overall, the first movie, despite bringing back memories and nostalgia, I do have to say that it's not as scary looking back on it, but when you're watching someone like Eddie Murphy, like in his prime or towards the end of his prime, he just kills it. And to have a supporting cast such as that cast, I feel like it does bring you joy, and it makes you appreciate that original The Haunted Mansion movie. So for me, absolute good movie, 8 out of 10, nothing but good vibes.
That's what they said. It's by
By the light of the silvery moon, of the silvery
God,
moon.
look, you sound really good. Your harmony's tight.
But now this second movie that just got released, it did surprise me in a good way, for sure. I was worried going into this, looking at the previews, like, oh God, we got like another nostalgia remake, or what is this about? You know, or even the cast, having like a leading man, such as the actor Lakeith. I was not expecting that, but I did appreciate his performance and his character. I was not expecting to be such a deep character with a lot of grieving behind it. I did appreciate them taking risk in regards to that type of storytelling. However, it was way too many characters, in my opinion, and the runtime was just a little bit too long. Even the villain was creepy, but it could have been a lot better, in my opinion. Whereas that original one, I mean, that old man was creepy as shit throughout the entire movie. Come on. Whereas this villain, he kind of comes in towards the end. And that's why overall, I can't say it's a great movie. It's definitely a good movie. Vibes for sure.
In Dixie, Dad, there it is.
Thanks.
Dad,
Thanks for nothing.
there it is.
So a vibe for my channel means that they're both good movies. You know, around 8 out of 10. I had a good time watching it. A few negatives, a few cons, but overall both really good movies. Which one is better in my opinion? If you could tell from listening to this video, definitely the first one. I think the first one is better because of the movie that was made at that time, with the amount of runtime. And although you have a leading man like Eddie Murphy, you have such a great supporting cast. Whereas here, yes, Lakeith is the leading man, but then you have like Rosario Dawson, who's also the leading woman, and you have these other big name actors. I didn't even mention Jamie Lee Curtis. I wasn't a huge fan of her performance. I do like the performance from the original actor. I thought she was much funnier and better. Whereas here, it's like these big name actors, I don't want to say they're playing themselves or if they're just trying too hard, but I just didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. It just seems like they got these big name actors, they just threw them all together, and I feel like it was a lack of chemistry. Whereas in the first one, I thought it was much better chemistry. But let me know down in the comments, which movies did you prefer more or enjoyed more? Which one do you think that was the better movie or the worst movie? The second movie, it's a vibe. It's definitely a good movie because I did watch it like 2 or 3 times afterwards on Disney Plus, and it's not a bad movie to throw on and just watch, you know, because I think it's one of those movies you do appreciate more when you understand more of like what that main character is going through or what all the characters are going through. It's just, for me, nothing beats that original or the GOAT, Eddie Murphy, for sure. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. Literally subscribe for real, because they say with this new YouTube feature that if you subscribe, the button, it makes like a sparkle now. They give you like these little lights and sounds. Also with the like button, so hit the like button too, but make sure to subscribe. Even when I say the word subscribe, it should be glowing. I don't know if it works or not though, so let's make it happen. And I might get back into writing my scripts because I personally don't like freestyling off the top like this, because I feel like it's bad quality if I'm just having awkward pauses, or I can't remember a freaking name of a person, or that damn Long Island lady. See, I'm gonna be here. You know what I'm talking about when you have a conversation with someone. It's like, oh my God, you can't think of it on the spot, and another person across the table is looking at you like, is it this, is it that? See, no one can help me because it's just me. My dog can't even help me. He's outside the room right now. He can't talk. But I know he's probably hearing me thinking, you stupid. Like, how you not know?
Stupid.
That person, that title. Okay, so let's just keep it at that, because I got my little timer here. We pushing like 20 minutes. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I always appreciate it. I'm trying to upload every single day. So if you're a fan of this channel or you support what I'm doing, I absolutely appreciate it. With this content creation stuff, like, you kind of have to put out stuff every day if you want the algorithm to pick up your stuff. And for me, like, a lot of my stuff is random, so it probably hurts the algorithm. But I'm just uploading videos that I genuinely want to talk about or I enjoyed watching in the process or consuming in regards to entertainment. So I hope you enjoyed as well. I hope I recommended these movies to you, especially the new one. If you haven't watched it already, it is on Disney Plus. And although Halloween is done, give this movie a chance and let me know how you think. So thank you again for watching. I'll see you all on the next one. Peace.